While the city is plagued with problems, it's still a desirable place to live for many.
Crazy. It's the most competitive market I've seen in all my 25 years.
People are still moving here, and home prices in Portland are surging even faster than the bubble before the Great Recession. It's a huge part of the housing crisis and an attack on the local slice of the American dream. There are several reasons why it's happening. In a Coin 6 investigation, our Dan Tilkin is asking whether Portland is over when it comes to affordable housing.
The real estate wave is happening despite the year of unrest and Portland losing some shine off its national reputation. And while a lot of people are out of work during COVID.
This is Amelia.
This is Isla.
And this is Nora.
Todd and Liz Fleischman are moving out of Southwest Portland, Clark County, hoping for land and a rural life.
One always dreams about a bidding war, but we've sold before and that's never happened.
4-bedroom, 3-bath, just over 2,600 square feet. What would you guess their house sold for? 600,000? 700? 800,000? Well, 5 years ago, the Fleischmans bought their home for $625, just listed it at $725. 6 offers later, the house sold for $816,000.
And that's not uncommon.
Katie Fracasso is their realtor.
There's such an imbalance in the supply and demand that buyers are at an all-time fever to secure homes, and the things that they're doing to secure those homes is unprecedented.
Bidding wars?
Bidding wars, waiving appraisals, waiving inspections, as is, you name it. We're starting to see it all.
To demonstrate how low the number of homes for sale is compared to the number of buyers, real estate agents look at how long it takes houses to sell. According to the latest reports from the Regional Multiple Listing Service, which tracks home sales in our region, in January and February, houses were taking just a month to sell. In March and April, the time to sell dropped even lower. Last year, they were on the market 3 times as long. The average price of a home went up nearly 17% from April of last year till April of this year, from $465,000 to nearly $544,000.
My concern is that our region is going to become so unaffordable that the drivers, right, the tech firms moving from California are just going to pass us up.
Jerry Milner studies real estate at PSU. He says for now, Portland is affordable compared to other major West Coast cities. He puts a lot of the blame for the region's housing crunch on Metro's urban growth boundary, which limits which land is eligible for dense housing. Here in Washington County, you can see the contrast. Homes on one side of the street and farmland on the other, marking where the urban growth boundary separates the suburbs from rural living.
Is the urban growth boundary to blame for the housing crunch?
It's a chronic problem, and frankly, it all depends upon how it's been managed. And the statutes say that we're supposed to have a 20-year land supply inside the urban growth boundary. From my eyes, from my analysis, this has been completely, I don't know what the right metaphor is, hijacked.
Milner says local politicians have pushed for infill housing projects, but those cannot keep up with housing demand.
I think that's an old saw that we keep hearing coming up, and you can look at any of the popular cities across the United States, with or without zoning or urban growth boundaries or anything else, and you see this issue playing out.
Mary Kyle McCurdy and the group 1,000 Friends of Oregon are big proponents of infill. She believes there is a 20-year supply of land for single-family housing already in the urban growth boundary. She says the answer to skyrocketing prices is building different kinds of housing, like duplexes and other multifamily homes. In 2019, the Oregon legislature passed a controversial law allowing more mixed-use housing in neighborhoods where only traditional single-family homes have been allowed.
We're seeing the pushback from people who lived in these old neighborhoods, and suddenly the house next door is being bulldozed and people are coming in and putting multiple housing units on there and feel like their neighborhood's character is changing.
Change is always hard, whatever the change is, but that is part of the natural evolution of places. And we want healthy schools, stores, neighborhoods. That is part of meeting the needs of all.
Homer Williams is one of the main driving forces behind the Pearl District. Well, now his attention is on getting people off the street and keeping others in their homes by founding the Harbor of Hope Shelter and proposing villages of low-income housing. He is critical of a well-intentioned recent law passed by the city of Portland that requires developers to include subsidized units in apartment buildings.
So the 2017 subsidized inclusionary housing, I had a person tell me it backfired. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's an absolute failure. Of course, everybody knew it would be. In the business, you know, there are a few people that, you know, might be able to rustle up the financing for it.
Everyone we talk to agrees it's going to take years of building housing in whatever form to get Portland out of its high-price predicament, where the Fleischmans now find themselves on the other side, trying to find an affordable home to buy.
We know it's a seller's market, but we're ready to play ball.
Meanwhile, these bidding wars over houses rage on. Just a couple more examples from Katie Fracasso. She had a house near Glendevere Park listed at $420,000. It got 11 offers and sold for $540,000. She had a starter home in Aloha listed nearly $380,000. 25 offers later, it closed at $472,000.
Wow, really interesting and something that impacts so many of us. Professor Milner of PSU tells us the region is producing about 10% less housing despite the wild real estate market. Mary Kyle McCurdy of 1,000 Friends told us Oregon and the region should have been doing more diverse kinds of housing decades ago. Our only choice now is to do it now. Tune in Monday at 7 o'clock for an hour-long special, Is Portland Over? And if you've missed our previous stories on Portland's reputation, protests, crime rate, homeless crisis, and restaurant scene, you can go to coin.com to watch those in-depth reports. We want to hear from you. You can email your comments to isportlandover@coin.com.